So today, inshallah ta'ala, we will continue with the seerah of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام from where we left off 2 weeks ago. This part of the seerah is very exciting and it's beautiful to tell. The 6th year of his hijrah عليه الصلاة والسلام was a busy year. A lot happened during this year. After the Confederates failed to conquer Medina, they failed to basically annihilate or destroy the Muslim Ummah. The Prophet ﷺ knew that from that moment forward he had the upper hand. They couldn't necessarily perform this action again. So this gave him an opportunity, ﷺ, a little bit of a breathing space to go and focus inwards for a while. And for the majority of the 6th year of his hijrah, ﷺ, the focus was on Medina, the people of Medina. And during that period, we have the story of the racism that happened during Bani al-Mustaliq and the Hadith al-Ifk of Seerah Aisha radiallahu anha wardaha, and the stolen shield, Dir al-Masruqa, amongst other stories that happened that really were stories that exposed some of the ethical flaws that the people in Medina had and that the Sahaba had to change. And the Quran came through, was very frequent during this year. I mean, the Quran was coming to the Prophet ﷺ almost daily. It was a very high frequency time for revelation, because the Quran was coming and pointing out all of these things that had to change, verse after verse, in Surah An-Nisa and Al-Ma'idah and Al-Hujurat and others. And the Prophet ﷺ still in his mind had the goal, the long-term goal was clear to him, was still Mecca. He needed to be able to remove the religious dictatorship that was running in Mecca. In addition to that, you can imagine that Quraysh didn't sit around helpless after Al-Ahzab, after Al-Khandaq, after the Battle of the Trench. They had a plan. And what they were doing is that they were building treaties or building an alliance with the people in Khaybar. And those in Khaybar are just north of Medina, and Mecca is south of Medina. And this was very concerning for the Prophet ﷺ to be between two nations or countries that wanted to destroy him. This was not going to work. So he had to find ways, he needed to neutralize these two threats. He was going to start with Mecca first. He wanted to force the people of Quraysh's hand to at least some form of peace with them, at least in front of the Arabs, so that he was able to perform proper da'wah. Because up to this moment, there's really no proper da'wah that's happening. It's just whatever people are hearing about Islam, and they're making their way to Medina and asking about it and learning. He himself, ﷺ, and the people with him, they can't really go and perform da'wah because they fear for their lives. They are unsafe as Muslims because of the fact that Quraysh continues to call them outlaws, to call them rebellions, to call them terrorists or whatever else people call back then. So they were called all these names, and they put the Prophet ﷺ in a very difficult position where he couldn't perform the da'wah that he wanted to for the tribes around him. And to strike alliances and allegiances with the tribes that surround him was very difficult. No one wanted to upset Quraysh. So he needed to change this reality, and the way he was going to change it was unclear to him. And he was thinking about this day and night for a long time. And then he saw a dream. And in the dream, he saw himself performing Umrah with the Sahaba, radiallahu anhum. And he woke up happy. But really what this vision was, it was an aha moment. Like, that's it. That's what's going to, this is how I forced their hands. And when he looked at it, alayhi sallam, when he analyzed an Umrah trip, he found that one of three things can happen if he goes as Umrah. The first one is that he is allowed with the Sahaba to enter Mecca and perform Umrah. And this in front of the Arab will be an admission of peace. Or this will be evidence of the fact there's no longer any war. Because he entered Mecca, he went around the Kaaba, he did the whole thing. So this gives him legitimacy and it gives him credibility amongst the Arab. Or they send him back, they refuse to let him into Mecca. And if they do that, they will lose whatever credibility they have in terms as religious leaders in the region. Because the only rule that they actually have to follow is that لا يصدون معتمرا أو حاجا أو قاصدا بيت الله. That they just don't refuse or refute or send back someone who's coming for the sake of a ritual, for Hajj or Umrah. That's the only thing they have to do. In order for them to maintain their religious status as leaders of their, that's the only thing really. They're not really expected to do more. They do more of rifada and siqaya, like they take hijama, they take care of the Kaaba, they bring water for the Hujjaj, they feed them. It's all extra stuff. The only rule that they actually have to follow is that they don't deny people access to the house of Allah if they're coming for Umrah, and to defend it obviously, and keep people safe in it, which is what any government in any city is going to do anyways. So if they deny him, then they're going to be exposed in front of the Arab, they'll lose credibility. Or they panic and they get him to go back, like they beg him to go back, and he won't go back without signing some form of peace treaty. So it's a win, win or win. But the only condition to this is that he has to make it to the outskirts of Mecca without bloodshed, without there being bloodshed. And that is the actual problem, because Quraysh is not asleep. Quraysh knows that the Prophet ﷺ is cooking something. They always know that. And the moment he moves, because Umrah is, when you go for Umrah back then, it's a slow caravan. It's not a quick caravan. An army can be a quick caravan. You have soldiers on their feet and on horses, so people can move quickly, and everyone's running. When you're going Umrah, you have the elderly, you have the children, it's not a quick caravan, it's slow. So to him, the problem is going to be that they're going to intercept. And intercepting him is going to cause, they're going to come at him with swords and bows and arrows. He's going to have to defend. There's going to be some bloodshed. And then they'll play the propaganda saying that a war happened between Mecca and Medina, and it's been happening for a while now, so no big deal. So he'll lose that edge, alayhi salatu wasalam. He needs to be able to make it to the outskirts of Mecca where the Arabs see him, because then Quraysh doesn't dare actually physically harm. Like they can't, because it looks too bad for them. It's too dangerous. They wouldn't do that. But how does he get there without them knowing? So the Prophet ﷺ, as always, he would make the intention of going in a different direction, as he always did. Only letting certain people know what the plan is. And then right before the day they were going to leave, he would share, ﷺ, his vision. You tell the Sahaba what he saw, and people would be absolutely ecstatic. The Sahaba have not seen the Kaaba for a number of years now. Some of them 10 years, some of them a bit less, some of them a bit more. So they couldn't be happier. They can't wait to go back and be in Mecca again. And the Prophet ﷺ, within this Umrah, he asks everyone to come. Everyone's allowed to come. So not just Muslims. The mushrikeen that live in Medina were welcome to come. The munafiqeen in Medina were welcome to come. He made sure that his caravan had everyone in it, so that it wasn't to dilute the effect of what may happen. And the next morning they leave, to give very little time for Quraysh to find out what's going to happen. And he begins moving, alayhi salatu wasalam, towards Mecca to the south. He has, alayhi salatu wasalam, a group of scouts. And their job was to sweep the area in front of him, alayhi salatu wasalam, looking for the spies of Quraysh, and looking for any potential movement from Quraysh over towards the Muslims. Alayhi salatu wasalam actually built a pretty large group for this purpose. Usually the scout groups are made of maybe 5 to 10 people. This scout group had 35. It was a large group. Why? Because he really needed to know when Quraysh was going to move. Because they were going to move eventually, he had to know when. And he had to know how far they would be at that time, so he could improvise. So the Prophet ﷺ is moving towards Medina, and eventually Quraysh finds out. They panic. Quraysh gets very scared, because they don't know what exactly the intentions of the Prophet ﷺ are. They don't. He made it clear as he was moving from Medina to all the tribes in Arabia that I'm going Mu'tamir, Hajj Mu'tamir, Bayt Allah. I'm going for the Umrah. I have the Hadi. He took with him the sheep, and he's wearing ihram, alayhi salatu wasalam. I'm not going with the intention of war. And he didn't take with him any weaponry. He had the weaponry follow him, alayhi salatu wasalam, later. Out of fear of Quraysh betraying, or committing treason, or just saying, or ripping off the band-aid and just deciding to come out to lash out. He made sure that he left behind him a few hundred Muslims, and they were going to bring with them the weaponry, like in carts and large wagons. They would bring the swords and whatever was needed. But the people who were walking with him, alayhi salatu wasalam, were not armed. We're all unarmed, which is a dangerous thing to do in Arabia. But again, it was the only rule. It's the only rule that existed in the region, is that you don't violate the sanctity of someone going on a ritual. If someone's going on a caravan, it's fair game. But if you're going for Umrah and Hajj, people have to leave you alone. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but his group was big enough, alayhi salatu wasalam, that wasn't easy to penetrate. Quraysh panics, they get scared. They're not sure what to do. They're told that he's coming for Umrah, but even the idea of him entering Mecca after what happened, after Badr and Uhud and Khandaq, was absolutely not on the table for them. So they call upon their best commander, and they call upon Khalid, radiallahu anhu ibn Walid. At the time he wasn't Muslim yet. And they send with him an army to intercept the Muslims far away from the Haram. So when I say the word Haram, you're thinking the Kaaba. Al-Haram is basically Mecca. All of Mecca is Haram. Once you're in Mecca, on the outskirts of Mecca, you're at the Haram, you can't do certain things, right? You can't fight, you can't hunt for prey to eat. There's a bunch of things you're not allowed to do. If you go to Mecca today, most of Mecca today is outside the boundaries of the Haram. I lived in Aziziyah, they're outside the boundaries of the Haram, so you weren't inside the Haram. But you can walk maybe 10 minutes in a direction and you'll enter the boundaries of the Haram. Arafah, for example, is right on the outskirts of the Haram. It's not inside the Haram. So they couldn't have this. They needed Khalid to intercept him far out, because there's 400 kilometers between Mecca and Medina, right? So Khalid is on the move. The scouting agency of the Prophet ﷺ tell him immediately, he's on the move. He will intercept you in exactly 2 days. In 48 hours, you guys will meet. Of course, they were very good at these things. So the Prophet ﷺ stops the caravan, and he turns to them, and he tells them this is what's happening. And he tells them what he suggests. He always did ashiru alayya ayyuhan nas alayhi salam in these type of situations. Always asked for feedback or for input. He said, my suggestion is that we go around. I need someone, and they agreed. I need someone who knows an alternative route, like a different route. Like today, if you want to go to Toronto, there's only 2 ways to get there, or basically one way. You can take the 401. Right? Or if you don't take the 401, you'll maybe take 403 for a while, and then the 401. You may end up, if you try to use the 80-kilometer roads, it'll take you 3 days to get there, to get there and back. It'll take you 3 days on 401 anyways. But it's not a million ways to make it to where you're going. So, and the same thing goes from Mecca to Medina back then. It was one route. They didn't have any pavement. So people knew how to get from one city to the other based on a route that was been properly established over many years. So there's not like a lot of ways to get from A to B. So, and of course, you're talking about this area within Arabia. It's filled with mountains. It's very, very difficult terrain. It's not easy to move. So the fact that there's one route that's safe between Mecca and Medina is already a stretch. So he needed, alayhi salatu a second route. He said, we need an alternative way to get there. So one of the Ansar put his hand up and said, I can do it, Ya Rasulullah. I know another way to get there, but it's hard. It's longer, and it's much more dangerous, meaning we're going up mountains, on the side of mountains. It's not comfortable. You're not walking. Like some of the spaces, some of the places that you're going to walk is going to be a one-man line. One person after the other, that's it. There's no space for 2 people to walk together. This is how we're going to go. So the Prophet ﷺ takes a boat, and they all agree that this is what they're going to do. So they take another route. What the Prophet ﷺ is told in front of and he brings this man in front of the Sahaba, and he says, إن قريش أقسمت ألا تدخلها عليهم عنوة حتى يموت آخر رجل منهم وإنهم قد لبسوا جلود النمور وأخرجوا معهم العوذ المطافيل. He starts telling them that Quraysh has worn the skins of tigers, and they have brought out their children, and they're going to fight till the death, and you will not enter Mecca, against their will. You will not enter Mecca, but they will fight till the death. So the Prophet ﷺ wants the Sahaba to hear, so that they would agree to the to the other, because he doesn't want blood. The Sahaba are angry. with Quraysh because they've tried to annihilate them a number of times so far. So there's some degree of anger. They were kicked out of Mecca. Their wealth was stolen from them. They have every right to be angry, but he doesn't want bloodshed. So he wants to kind of push the general opinion towards we don't take the route of bloodshed. We look for a route that can get us something different, can get us a different hand dealt. So they agree, and they go, and I'm not sure if I have a picture for you or not, but no, I don't. Do I? I remember I put one once before. Yeah, I don't think I have it anymore. That's all right. Basically, if you can go online, Shawqi Abu Khalil, rahimahullah, has an encyclopedia, an atlas of the Seerah, and he will show you the two routes and the difference in terms of how long it took. So they had to move quickly, obviously, but the alternative route was very difficult. One of the stories that exist on this route that I like to tell it because Ibn Ishaq has it in his Seerah, and I don't have any reason for us to refute it, is that as they were going through the mountains on the other side, like going towards Mecca from a different path, they would come by a female dog that had given birth to its puppies, and it was a very difficult place to walk around, and she was barking, obviously, because a full army is walking. As you know, animals don't like you coming near their children. So some of the Sahaba, some of them came wanting to pick them up and throw them off the. فقال عليه الصلاة والسلام لا دعوها, leave her. And then they literally changed the route. Like they went down a less convenient route for the army just so that they wouldn't bother this dog. The story is in the book of Ibn Ishaq. Like it's Ibn Hisham, and he cites it in his Seerah. So it's a fascinating story because I don't, subhanAllah, regardless of whether what the chain of narration is, the fact that this story exists in a book that's that old is worth sharing with you. That the Prophet ﷺ told them to leave the dog. It's a dog. It's a dog. We don't even, most Muslims grow up hating dogs. By the way, we're not supposed to hate dogs. We don't have any reason. We have nothing against dogs, just to understand. We just think that stray dogs, or we believe, or understanding, or our conviction that stray dogs, their saliva, at least their saliva, is najis. That their saliva is najis. So if it comes on you, then you have to wash it off. And some madhahib require a heavy degree of washing, like the Shafi'is and the Hanbalis. You have to do it a number of times with water, and then you have to use turab. Today you can use soap instead of water. You don't need to use the soil of the earth actually for it. But we don't have problem. We don't like them in the homes, because dogs tend not to have cleanliness, so they sit in the house, and they can stay in the house with their behinds, and they can because there are two basic domesticated animals that eat their own feces and eat the feces of other animals, pigs and dogs, and because of that they have similar rulings in our deen, because they eat fecal matter, so they lack cleanliness. However, domesticated dogs you can have outside. Many of the Sahaba had dogs in their gardens, and dogs for hunting. The Muslims had dogs, and they named their dogs, and it was fine. It's just there are certain boundaries when it came to dealing with them, just as a caveat. So the Prophet ﷺ refused. He told the Sahaba not to bother her, and they went around her on this already very difficult route. And it was rahmah alayhi salatu wasalam, and his love for animals, and you can find this all throughout his life if you follow it along. Khalid's moving north, preparing himself for the encounter. He's preparing himself and his army to meet the Prophet. He doesn't know what's going to happen. He's outnumbered. His army is not big. The Prophet ﷺ, whom he has, the number of people that are with the Prophet ﷺ is much more. It's around 1,700 or 1,800 people were coming for Umrah. Right? He had maybe 500 people with him. So it was not. Muslims were winning when they were like half and a quarter and a third of the army. So he didn't know what to expect. He didn't know how armed were the Muslims, right? So there's a lot of lack of information for him. But he was told by the leaders of Quraysh, who, by the way, at the time, just so you know, were all very young. You see, one of the things that happened after the Battle of the Trench is that the older leaders within Quraysh got discredited. Abu Sufyan lost his status a little bit after Ahzab. They put him aside. They retire, old man. And you failed multiple times now. Him and his posse of older leaders in Quraysh were put in a position where they weren't as welcome as they were before. They didn't have the pull. So all of these younger guys now are speaking, like Safwan ibn Umayyah and Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl, the younger generation. This younger generation is much more. What do we know about younger people? They're much more aggressive, right? They're way more aggressive. They lack wisdom. Their blood is hot, right? They're ready for a fight. They want to cause chaos. So the Prophet ﷺ knew this. And he knew that if he played it cool, he could get them to slip up. He can get them to make the mistake that would grant him his advantage. He just had to play it cool. And this is a big part of being wise in life. It's usually the person who loses his temper who has to be in a state of regret for a long time. If you can just hold yourself, if you can just calm yourself, hold your tongue and stay cool, if the other parties aren't angry enough, they'll make the mistake. They'll say what they shouldn't have said. They'll drown themselves. They'll tank themselves. But most of the time, we lack our self-control, so we end up being the ones who lose our temper and saying something. Now it's on us. Be careful. SubhanAllah, this is so often in life where someone is doing all the wrong things, saying all the wrong stuff, being very aggressive. He is now, and he's just hoping that he can provoke you so that you can respond in a way that's similar. Now you're equal. And if you lose your temper and you say one bad word, now khalas, you're equal. Now it's a brawl. Now it's a conflict. It's no longer Fulan is wrong and you are, and the other person, no. So the Prophet ﷺ knew all he had to do is just keep his cool and keep the Sahaba, just keep them calm, and they will make their mistake. By the way, none of these plans that I'm explaining to you that he had in his mind, ﷺ, went exactly the way he wanted them to. None of them did. And this is an important part of learning the story of Hudaybiyah. You can plan things out and you can have a good grasp on what the outcome is going to be, but things probably won't go the way you planned them anyways. And that's okay. You have to have some degree of flexibility. You have to be willing to reassess and try something different. And you can see his plan is not going to work exactly the way he wants it to work, alayhi salatu wasalam. Close enough though. And Khalid's going north. And after two days and a half, he's like, something's wrong. We should have met them by now. There's something wrong. Like so he sends his scouts ahead of him, and they can't find. So he sends them the other way, and they say they went from the other route. And Khalid turns around, and they gallop as fast as they can back because he was fooled. He was going and he doesn't make it. By the time he makes it to Mecca, the Quraysh are looking at him as, what did you do? The Prophet ﷺ had already made it to Hudaybiyah. Hudaybiyah is one of the areas that exist right outside of the boundaries of the Haram. Just like Arafah is right outside the boundary of the Haram in one direction, Hudaybiyah is to the northwest and it's right at the outskirts. And why? Because he came from the west. He came across on the side of the mountains closer to the shore, which is not the proper route to make it there. And so his arrival point was going to be to the northwest, right at Hudaybiyah. And that's where he stopped his naqa. And when he got there, one of the stories, I'm not sure if I put it here or not, is that I think I did. His she-camel would stop, alayhi salatu wasalam. Yeah, it wouldn't advance anymore. The she-camel wouldn't advance anymore when he arrived at Hudaybiyah. So some of the Sahaba would say, or Wallahu a'lam, maybe one of them would, I don't know, but someone said, Khala'at al-Qaswa. The name of his she-camel, he named all of his animals, alayhi salatu wasalam, was al-Qaswa. Khala'at meaning it's not obeying, is disobedient. And because once he arrived at the outskirts of Mecca, his heart wanted to enter the Haram, but it wouldn't enter the Haram, like it wouldn't move. So he gets off at alayhi salatu wasalam, and they say, Khala'at al-Qaswa. So he looks back alayhi salatu wasalam, he's upset. فَقَالَ مَا خَلَأَتِ الْقَصْوَى وَمَا كَانَ ذَلِكَ لَهَا بِخُلُقٍ. No, she didn't. And that is not her ethics. That's not the way she is. That's not her akhlaq. Her akhlaq are better than to disobey. وَإِنَّمَا حَبَسَهَا حَابِسُ الْفِيلِ. But what held her back was what held back the elephant of Abraha back in the day. He's doing this, alayhi salatu wasalam, in my opinion, he's doing this strategically. Because he wants the Sahaba to think about the price of bloodshed in front of the Haram. He wants the Sahaba to be under control. He doesn't want them to be upset. Because he knows how Quraysh is going to behave. Quraysh is going to lash out. Quraysh is going to be aggressive. They're going to have tahawwur. They're going to be completely off their mark. He can't have followers with him who are just as aggressive. So he reminded them by saying that of the time Abraha al-Habashi tried to enter Mecca and destroy it, and his elephant would not advance, so he tried to advance himself and Allah destroyed him. So he told him that she didn't disobey me. What held her back is what held back the elephant of Abraha. She's scared of bloodshed in the Haram. So the Sahaba all kind of calmed down a little bit. And the Prophet ﷺ would he would send in a man called Kharash ibn Umayyah on his camel, who was called a Thalab. He had with him a camel called the fox, a male camel. He put Kharash ibn Umayyah al-Khuza'i on it, one of the allies of Quraysh, a man that Quraysh knew well, and he sent this man in to talk to Quraysh. So Quraysh kills the camel of the Prophet ﷺ, and they kick Kharash out. And they send out, and they send with him a message that you will not enter. And if we have to fight till the death, we'll fight till the death. You're not entering. So he says this, alayhi salatu wasalam. And I love this quote, one of my favorite quotes of him, alayhi salatu wasalam. It's narrated in the books of hadith as well, and it's authentic. And he would say, Ya wayha Quraysh. He would send back this is what he would send back into Mecca, alayhi salatu wasalam, in terms of messaging. He would say, Ya wayha Quraysh. لَقَدْ أَكَلَتْهُمُ الْحَرْبِ. So, woe to Quraysh. I mean, what's wrong with Quraysh? Bad news is coming for Quraysh. لَقَدْ أَكَلَتْهُمُ الْحَرْبِ. The bloodlust of war has eaten them from the inside. Meaning they can't see, they can't think, they can't hear. They are so consumed by the idea of war. لَقَدْ أَكَلَتْهُمُ الْحَرْبِ. What's wrong with them? Just war, war, war. Everything I say to them, the answer is war. I bring up, they offer me war. I try to communicate, they bring war. أَكَلَتْهُمُ الْحَرْبِ. They can't seem to see anything beyond war. ماذا عليهم لو خلوا بيني وبين سائر الناس. What would it bother them or harm them if they just allowed me to speak to the rest of the people of Arabia? See, Quraysh is his family, so he can say whatever he wants about them. There's not racism when you speak of your own people. He is Qurashi, alayhi salatu wasalam. So he's speaking to his family. What's wrong with them? Why will they not let me speak to the rest of people? That's all he wanted, alayhi salatu wasalam. This term is all he ever asked for. You can follow this term, خَلُّوا بَيْنِي وَبَيْنَ النَّاسِ, all throughout his seerah, alayhi salatu wasalam, step by step until the day of Fatih Mecca. All he wants is just let me speak to people. If they listen, and he explains it here, قال, فَإِنْ أَصَابُونِي كَانَ الَّذِي أَرَادُوا. If they kill me for what I'm offering them, then that's what they wanted. Like, instead of you doing it, let me speak to people. If they kill me for it, if they don't like what I say and they fight me for it, then you get what you want. وَإِنْ أَظْهَرَنِيَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ دَخَلُوا فِي الْإِسْلَامِ وَهُمْ وَافِرُونَ. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants me response and leadership of them, they can enter Islam as the family of the leader, as wafirun, meaning in good status. They don't have to. He's like, don't risk anything, Quraysh. Don't risk anything. You don't want to follow someone who don't know if their business is going to work or not. You don't want to invest in something before you know it's going to work. Fine, just let me speak to people. I don't want anything from you. Just leave me alone. If people don't like what I do and they kill me, khalas, you got what you wanted. And if they listen to me, and now I'm leading the Arabia, then I'm from Quraysh, you are Quraysh, you are now the family of the leader, you enter and your integrity is held on to. Now, وَإِن لَمْ يَفْعَلُوا قَاتَلُوا وَبِهِمْ قُوَّةٌ. Sorry. And if they don't want to do any of this, then they can at least fight with, and they'll have strength. Like we just had Al-Khandaq a year ago. Don't they want to rest from war a little bit? Yeah, you rest a little bit so you can fight me and you're strong. Instead of fighting me when you're tired and you're weak and you've been exhausted and your resources are exhausted. Khalas, give me he's offering alayhi salatu some degree of logic to them with what he's saying. فَمَاذَا تَظُنُّ قُرَيْشٌ. And this is his eternal quote alayhi salatu. What does Quraysh think? فَمَاذَا تَظُنُّ قُرَيْشٌ. وَاللَّهِ إِنِّي لَا أَزَالُ أُجَاهِدُهُمْ عَلَى الَّذِي بَعَثَنِيَ اللَّهُ بِهِ حَتَّى يُظْهِرَهُ اللَّهُ أَوْ تَنْفَرِدَ هَذِهِ السَّالِفَةِ. What does Quraysh think? I will continue to relentlessly push for what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to me and taught me until I achieve the goals of my mission or this neck is dislocated from this head until I die. Like, what are you doing? I'm never going to stop. There's nothing you can do. You see, this piece is, we know that he said this, and he said things like this, alayhi salatu wasalam. We know that. It's a part of his character for us. The problem is, I don't think we really fully understand what this means. I don't think we've ever actually said those words to ourselves or held ourselves to the meanings of this word. Are you someone who carries this message and the price for it, if needed, is your life? Is that how you see it? Or how do you see it? Like, is Islam to you something that you will continue to carry with you until you're gone? Like, if you have to pay with your life for it, then you'll pay with your life for it. This is not a price that you're going to be hesitant on offering. I believe that if you're not willing to pay for your cause with your life, then you don't really have a cause. And I don't really believe there's any benefit of having you around. Forgive me to say something like that. But this is what I think is important to think about. If the price for your cause is not your life, like if you're not willing to put your life on the line for it, as he did, alayhi salatu wasalam, as people with him did, then it's not really a cause. You like it. I'm not saying that you don't like it. You enjoy it, you think it's nice. But if you're not willing to give up your life for it, then I don't think there's going to be anything. I don't think you'll get anywhere with it. True victory of the strength of causes comes from the degree of conviction of the people who follow it. That's really what dictates it. How convinced they are and how convicted they are with this cause. And he sent this message in saying, what are you doing? Have you not figured this out yet? There is nothing you can say. There is nothing you will do that will stop me from continuously pursuing my goal. Either I achieve it or I die trying. That's it. And he sent that in, alayhi salatu wasalam, to Quraysh, to listen to reflect upon. But again, the leaders at the time were not as wise, so they to some degree ignored what he had to say, alayhi salatu wasalam. But he made it very clear. You know what? Why do you continuously want war? I don't want war. Either accept Islam, let me speak to people, and either way you win, or you don't fight me today, and that way you have time to strengthen your army and come fight me later. Like if you're going to fight me and that's what you want, take some time off. Rest a bit, come back, fight me when you're stronger. I'm not here to fight today. I'm here for Umrah. Why does it always have to be war? But he knew, that they were not entertaining any of this. They arrive in Hudaybiyah, and I like this story. I like telling you this story. And they come and they situate themselves right at the boundaries of the Haram. And within their area, there's a well. They took from the well until there was nothing left in it. And people got thirsty because there was nothing to drink anymore. And they can't really change where they are because it's already dangerous. Like where they are. See, Mecca is like it's like a pit. It's a valley, and it's surrounded by mountains, and it's very easy to raid Mecca. It's very difficult to defend Mecca, which is why Quraysh had a very difficult job throughout their time, because it's very hard because you're always defending from down under. People who want to strengthen themselves, they choose their cities on mountaintops, right, or on hills, so they can see who's coming, and they can put up their walls, and now it's hard. Mecca doesn't have that. Mecca is surrounded by mountains. If any army makes it to the top of the mountains, they just fall on you, and it's very hard to defend from under. Which is why when Abraha came, they just left, not out of fear. Quraysh, they were very powerful warriors, but there's no point. This army outnumbers us 100 to 1, and they're going to come down with elephants. There's no point. So they leave to the mountains. This is not going to. We can't. Why? We'll wait for them to go in, and then we'll come down, because that's the easiest way to do it. So that's kind of how Mecca was put together to begin with. So the Prophet ﷺ can't move much without making the people for Umrah and himself very vulnerable. So he had to stay exactly where he was so he can protect himself. So he couldn't go anywhere. And they said, Ya Rasulullah, the bi'r that we stopped for is empty. فَقَالَ خُذُونِي إِلَيْهَا. Take me to it. So they take him to it. And this story is in the hadith, the books of hadith, not the books of Seerah, the books of hadith of the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام. فقال فأخذ عليه الصلاة والسلام يعني سهما فأطلقه في البئر. And he took, he did takbir and tasbih, and he took an arrow and he sent it, and he sent it down into the water and into the well, and some water started to come out. And the Prophet ﷺ puts his hand down and he hits at the side of the of the well, and the water starts to gush out from between his fingers عليه الصلاة والسلام. Those who witnessed it, قال فرأينا الماء يجري بين أصابعه الشريفة عليه الصلاة. We saw the water gushing from through his fingers عليه الصلاة والسلام. And every once in a while in the Seerah, if you've been with me for the last year or two, you'll find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the Sahaba, it's like He throws them a little bit of a reminder of who it is that they are with, alayhi salatu wasalam. Right? Nothing huge. Nothing like what Musa alayhi salam had. Not the staff or the mountain being, no, just something simple. And Imam al-Bayhaqi calls it Dala'il al-Nubuwah, the evidences of prophecy. Or the evidences of prophecy. Just something to remind them. And this was one of them. Like on the day of Khandaq, right? They are being, the siege is being struck for 20 days, and they're starving. And then the Prophet ﷺ goes to the house of Jabir and feeds the whole army from a piece of chicken and half a kilo of barley, right? Why? Just as a reminder to them of maqam al-nubuwah. Because why? Because you could easily start seeing him as a statesman, as a war commander, as a social reformist, as he is Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. He is all the above, and he is the prophet of the end of times alayhi salatu wasalam. So something like this would happen because the well could have just stayed with water in it. I mean, the well didn't need to dry up. It could have just stayed with water. But no, this was purposeful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted him to go back alayhi salatu wasalam, and through the barakah of his prophecy, the water to come out through his hands alayhi salatu wasalam for the Sahaba to see. And this well still exists till this day in the area of Hudaybiyah. And you can go and see it. He sends back that piece of messaging into Quraysh. And then he makes a statement for all the Arabs, because people came around to watch. There are groups that had situated themselves as popcorn eaters. They just wanted to watch. They wanted to see what's going to happen. This is cool. Not every day does this happen. This is entertainment for many of them. They had not witnessed this before. So they came and just watched what's going to happen. Quraysh is going to try and what? We're going to fight him? Are they going to let him in? Are they going to let him in? He's going to be able to perform after all of what happened, after the war, after war. They're going to let him into Mecca to perform Umrah. Big deal. They're going to fight him in the Haram. Even a bigger deal. What are they going to do? So people so he made a statement عليه الصلاة والسلام, and he echoed throughout the people around. قال والله لا تدعوني قريش إلى خطة يعظم فيها صلة الرحم إلا أجبتهم إليها. That Quraysh will not call me today to a treaty or a plan of some sort where we strengthen the relationships of kin. Salat al-Rahim, meaning we stop fighting, except I will be at their service, meaning I will accept whatever conditions they put. Today, if they call me for Salat Rahim, if they call me for something that has within it the stop of bloodshed, ceasefire, no more fighting, then I will be the first person to meet them. I'll meet them for whatever they want. But the people on the inside were boiling. This is not what they want. But he made it clear. He is winning, alayhi salatu wasalam, strategically. Right? He is winning because the people around him are listening. Oh, he's not here for war. He's in Umrah. He is making it clear that he wants a good relationship. He wants to fix the things with Quraysh. And Quraysh kills his camel. You never slaughter an animal, right? So they slaughter his tha'lab, alayhi salatu. It was very sad, by the way. The narration of Al-Waqidi is that he got very upset. One narration that he wept when he heard that they had killed the camel. And his sunnah alayhi salatu is he loved his animals and he named them and he cared for them. This is where the Hudaybiyah happened, by the way. Right in front of, I'm not sure if it's still there, but this is an old picture. But right in front of what is today called Masjid al-Hudaybiyah. It's in the area where the Prophet ﷺ once sat and did this. If you go to Mecca, you can ask for someone to take you to this space, so you can visualize or imagine where all of these stories that I'm going to tell you today actually took place and occurred. So Quraysh starts to gather the leaders. Quraysh starts to call in all of their allies because they don't know what's going to happen. Khalid was not able to intercept them. He can't do anything now, so he just has to enter Mecca with the army they sent with him. They call upon Khuza'ah. Khuza'ah had some degree of closeness with the Prophet ﷺ, and there were some agreements. But they were still, in essence, the ally of Quraysh. Like first and foremost, they're still an ally of Quraysh. They call the Ahbash, or the Ahabish, which are, to this day, scholars differ in their opinions on what they actually are. I'm not going to spend a lot of time, but they were tribes that that were Bedouin tribes, and they had strength. They were fierce warriors, and they were allies of Quraysh, so they came into Mecca as well. Quraysh is just stacking inside Mecca all of those who will stand by them. And all these smaller tribes were coming in with whatever warriors that they had, a few hundred here, a few hundred there, and they're just camping inside of Mecca in case the Prophet ﷺ decides that he's going to come in. But he has no interest in doing this. He's here for Umrah. He's very clear on why he's here. They don't want to let him in, but he knows what he's doing. So they would prepare this, and they would send a group of their youngsters to roll upon the Muslims at night. So like I said, Hudaybiyah, as Mecca, is surrounded by mountains. So there are a bunch of youngsters from Quraysh, maybe 70 of them, that over at night went from behind Hudaybiyah, and then basically came down the mountains to try and start a fight, hoping that if they started a fight at night and it turned into some bloodshed, that they could use some propaganda to say that Muhammad started it and he fought and we had to fight them back. What they want is the image. They want the image of what Thaqif tried to do with Quraysh. They want the image of what Kinana and Harb al-Fijar tried to do with Quraysh. They want an image of a tribe or a group of tribes raiding Mecca and Quraysh defending it with their allies. That's what they want. This is not what's happening, but that's what they want somehow to be able to play that card, because that's the card that will keep them credible. So they sent these youngsters to go at night and يغيرون على المسلمين على مخيمات المسلمين على الخيام, to enter the tents of the Muslims and cause some havoc and begin a war. عليه الصلاة والسلام. This is one of the coolest stories. He knew exactly he knew this was going to happen. He was fully prepared. He was fully prepared, ridiculously prepared for this one. The 70 came down hoping for havoc. They were caught by the Muslims, tied up, and rolled back into Mecca, unharmed. The way they were just as if he knew they were going to do this. So he had the groups waiting at the different places. Like wherever they come, they will come. A small group will come. I don't know from where, but they're going to come. When they do, don't shed any blood. Catch them, take whatever arsenal they have with them, tie them up, and send them back into Mecca to their people. So in the morning, the Safwan, Abu Sufyan, the people are sitting. They watch 70 of their youngsters walking in with their hands and feet tied up from outside, not unharmed. No one was hurt. So they figured out this is not going to work. So what begins is something called al-murasalat or al-mufawadat. Meaning they start to negotiate with the Prophet ﷺ. They're sending out people to speak to him. They would choose people from amongst them. No one from Quraysh, at least not at the beginning. People who would go and tell him to go back, or people who could go and convince him to leave. So they began with the leader of Khuza'ah, because he had a good relationship with the Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims, because Khuza'ah had Khuza'ah was a smart tribe. They kind of played it both sides, but their original alliance is for Mecca. So his name is Budayl ibn Warqa, and they told him, go out and speak to Muhammad and tell him to leave. So he goes out and he speaks to the Prophet ﷺ, and he begins to tell him, Quraysh is not going to let you in. They will not accept you entering Mecca in the open day in front of all the Arab. To them it's a proof of victory for you. They will not allow it. And you have to go back, or else blood will be shed in front of the haram. I don't want to fight you myself. We have our treaties. I don't want this to be the case. Will you consider going back and whatever? And he starts to So the Prophet ﷺ, he responds to Budayl ibn Warqa. فقال له قل لهم, go back and tell them this. إني لم آتي للحرب. I did not come for war. وجئت للعمرة. I have come for Umrah. This is my intention. قل لهم قريش أنهكتها الحرب وأضرت بها. Tell them that Quraysh is tired from war. War has harmed them. War has made them weaker. They are my people. I don't want them to be weaker. I have no interest in my clan, my tribe, my city to be weak. You have been fighting for too long. You are weak now from war. There's no point in trying to have another one. It's harmed you sort of already. قل لهم إن شئت أن تهادنوني مدة قبل. Tell them if they would like for a hudna. A hudna is a truce or a ceasefire. If they want a truce for a while, for a certain period of time, I am open. I will offer them this. على أن يخلوا بيني وبين الناس. With the condition of just allowing me to speak to people. Don't put conditions on Arabians that they can't speak to me. Quraysh had made it very clear. If you want to come for Umrah and Hajj in the future, if you want your Sanam to stay on the Kaaba and we don't knock him off with our foot and you destroy him, if you want your caravans to stay safe, then you do not speak to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You do not get involved with him at all. So people of Quraysh, people of Arabia are like, all right. So he goes to speak to them, alayhi sallam, and they say, sorry, no, don't come here. So they won't even listen to what he has to say. It's a problem. He needs an inning just to speak. Whether they accept or not, that's their choice. Some people will listen and won't accept. He is not even being given the opportunity to speak to them. That's all he wants. How about we have a truce for a while, and the condition is they leave me to speak to people. They don't make conditions upon Arabians that they can't listen to me. قل لهم إن شاءوا أن يدخلوا فيما سيدخل فيه الناس من دين الله سعدت بذلك. Tell them if they choose to enter into what people are going to enter into eventually of this deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that would make me very happy. It would make me absolutely ecstatic. I would be very happy to have them enter with me. Just ta'al, you are my family. Come, you will find your space with me. This is what he's trying to tell them, alayhi salatu wasalam. قل لهم إن أبوا أن يخلوا بيني وبين الناس أو أن يهادنوني مدة فوالله لأقاتلنهم حتى تنفرد سالفتي. Tell them if they refuse all of these options, a truce or acceptance, then I will not stop pushing against them until I'm dead. Like I'm not going away. This is his message, alayhi salam. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. You're going to listen to me, and you're going to have to figure out a way to deal with me, alayhi salatu wasalam. So Budayl listens to this and he's like, this makes perfect sense. He's a man of reason. He's a man of integrity. He goes back to Quraysh. He tells them, خلوا بين محمد وبين الناس. Let Muhammad speak to his people. الرجل يعرض السلم وليس باعث حرب. This is an extremely important word that Budayl ibn Warqa would give as testimony during this period. Because some people who tell the story of the Prophet ﷺ make it seem as if he was out for blood, as if Muslims just wanted war. No. Budayl ibn Warqa would come back to Quraysh and tell them, الرجل يعرض السلم. The man is offering peace. وليس باعث حرب. And he has no intention of war. He's not here trying to instigate another battle. وقد جاء للعمرة. He's here for Umrah. فخلوا بينه وبين الحرم. Let him enter the haram. What are you doing? You told me that he's here to invade Mecca. He's here for Umrah. The man has no interest in war. He's here for peace. You're gonna deny him Umrah. You're going to deny him to enter the haram. إني مرتحل بخزاعة. I'm leaving with Khuza'ah. I'm going back. I have nothing to do with this. I will not be a part of what you're doing. فقالوا فأسمعوه ما يؤذيه. They said things to him to harm him. Like this is how how young foolish leaders, foolish people. We have many foolish leaders today. No integrity and no understanding of ethical codes. They mistreat other visitors, right? They mistreat leaders. They mistreat people that they should not. Budayl is the leader of a tribe. They asked him to go and perform a negotiation on their behalf. When they didn't like what they heard, they mistreated him. They cursed him out and said bad things and kicked him out of Mecca. You don't do that, right? You don't. That's how you make enemies. That's how you lose allies. So you can see they're already digging their graves. Like these young leaders who didn't have the experience, who didn't have the wisdom of how to deal with people, they're digging their own graves. All he had to do, alayhi salatu is just stick to his ethics. See, this is the beauty of it. As a human being, wallahi, this advice does not require you to be Muslim to listen to it. Obviously, as a Muslim, you must listen to it, but even if you're not, just whatever principles you live by, just stick to them. Don't sell out on your principles, don't compromise. Don't let someone who is instigating, so someone who's trying to irritate you, trying to get you to, don't let them provoke you. Don't let them change the view of where you're going and what you're trying to do. Stay calm, continue to hold by your principles, regardless of how they behave. They will they will ruin themselves. Don't worry, they will ruin themselves. You don't have to do it for you. عليه, all he did was just explain exactly what he's doing. He was not getting upset. You're like, in your mind, you're like, oh yeah, it makes sense. No. I'm trying to get to you. He has every reason to be upset. Ya Sheikh, he has every reason in the world right now to want to go in there and take the head of Safwan ibn Umayyah and strangle him. He has every reason to want to go into Abu Sufyan's house and stick his harba right through his chest. This man tried to annihilate everyone. They didn't try to take out the Prophet ﷺ alone. They tried to kill everyone. Children, women, elderly. They tried to perform a genocide. What they tried during the trench was a genocide. They tried. They failed, but they tried. They kicked him out of his home. They have said every bad thing about him. There are Muslims who are standing there without family members, without limbs, because of what they've done. Now they're denying them Umrah. This is how ethicalists are behaving, Umrah. So they have every reason to be angry. But he had already set the pace for everybody. No. Al-Qaswa didn't move, because what made it afraid was the same thing that scared the elephant of Abraha. So they all calmed down. They all had to, because he needed people to be calm. The ayah in Surah Al-Fath that talks about so those 70 who came down, they could have taken them and just said, you're trying to kill us at night in front of the haram, and bury them right there. No, we're going to take them, we're going to send them back unharmed. We're not going to be provoked. وَهُوَ الَّذِي كَفَّ أَيْدِيَهُمْ عَنْكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ عَنْهُمْ بِبَطْنِ مَكَّةَ مِنْ بَعْدِ أَنْ أَظْفَرَكُمْ عَلَيْهِمْ. He's the one who made sure that كَفَّ أَيْدِيَهُمْ عَنْكُمْ أَيْدِيَكُمْ عَنْهُمْ, meaning that no bloodshed happened after you were already victorious. Because Hudaybiyah was a victory. The word, the Sulh al-Hudaybiyah, and we're going to talk about this, is not, I call it the Treaty of Hudaybiyah, the Quran does not call it that. No. The Quran calls it al-Fath al-Mubin. That's what the Quran calls it. The great, not just a victory, an opening for other victories to come. Nasr is a victory. Fath is even better. Fath is a victory that will lead to other victories. So it's a word, I don't even know if we have an equivalent for it in the English language. I don't think we do. So they send someone else to speak to him. They send a man by the name of Mikriz ibn Hafs. And Mikriz ibn Hafs was the leader of a small tribe. And the Prophet ﷺ was someone who had a lot of experience. He's a wise man, so he knows people. We're going to watch with me how he knows what to tell people. He knows how to deal with different people depending on their personalities. Budayl ibn Warqa, a man of reason. I'll explain. I'll be very clear to him. He will appreciate that. قال أما مكرز فهذا رجل فاجر. There's a man who has no ethics. He's a man of fujur. He's not. فما كلمه رسول الله. The man came and talked to the Prophet ﷺ. He did not respond to him, and he did not send with him any information. He didn't ask him to take any messages inside. He just left him as he is. He spoke and he went back, which wasn't helpful for Quraysh. So Quraysh tries again, and they send a man by the name of Hulays ibn Alqamah. And Hulays ibn Alqamah is the leader of Al-Habish, that tribe, that Bedouin tribe that has a lot of warriors. So the Prophet ﷺ sees him coming from afar. فَقَالَ هَؤُلَاءِ قَوْمٌ يَتَأَلَّهُونَ. These are people who respect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, respect rituals, and respect sanctity and the haram. They respect these things. سُوقُ الْهَدِي أَمَامَهُ. Take all of the hadi. The hadi are the sheep that have been marked for dhabh after Umrah, as a way for and these hadi usually have on them little pieces of ornaments, and they have colors on them, knowing that they belong to this. So they look in a certain way. So the Prophet ﷺ, when he saw Hulays coming, he said, "Bring the hadi, walk in front of him, back and forth." And there's like maybe a few hundred sheep and camels for this. So ساق الهدي أمامه, went in front of him back and forth. Hulays doesn't even make it to the Prophet ﷺ. He sees this, he turns back. فقال يا معشر قريش أتدعون سفلة العرب يطوفون بالبيت ويمنع ابن عبد المطلب من الطواف به والله لا تتركنكم العرب إذا منعتموه. He says, "Oh Quraysh, You allow the worthless of the Arabs to come and perform Umrah. People who have no lineage, have no integrity, have no claim. You let them enter, and you're going to stop the son of Abdul Muttalib to come and perform it. And he has the hadi with him. And he has brought with him the sacred sheep to perform dhabh after they do Umrah. You're going to stop them. Wallahi, لَتُقَاتِلَنَّكُمُ الْعَرَبْ إِذَا مَنَعْتُمُوهُ. The Arabs, all the Arabs will fight you if you don't let him in. So they say to him that which will harm him, the Al-Hudais. فَأَخَذَ الْأَحَابِيشَ وَانْصَرَفَ. So he took his tribe and he left. Now the once full Mecca at the beginning of the story, a few days in, is much, much emptier. It's been thinned out because these foolish leaders on the inside who won't listen to reason and won't respect the people that they're sending for negotiations and are losing their allies. They send a man by the name of Urwa ibn Mas'ud. Funny enough that Urwa was there. Urwa Sayyid Thaqif. He is one of the chieftains of Al-Ta'if, the same tribe that raided Mecca not too long ago, trying to overthrow Quraysh. But you know how it is. Politics are politics. So now he wants to pull the favor with Quraysh and bring his troops and sit in Mecca to help Quraysh defend themselves. Right? Like this is it's the same thing, wallah. All of this disgustingness that you see in politics today is the same thing. It hasn't changed. It's been like that since the beginning of time, wallah. Most leaders don't have integrity. They don't have they don't have self-respect. They don't have principles. They don't do anything based on ethics or values. They do it just based on maslahah, on benefit. Yeah, it's just dirty politics. Whatever they can do to benefit themselves. Urwa bin Mas'ud now suddenly becomes an ally of Quraysh. All of his life he's been waiting for the opportunity, and you're going to see he's going to try. The moment Fatah Mecca happens, they're going to gather their army and Hunayn and try to take him out, because all they wanted all these years is to be the Asiyad Mecca, to take over Al-Haram and be the leaders of Arabia. He never ever stood by Quraysh in his life, but today he is going to. He's a smart man. He wants to win some points, so he brings his troops and he's there. He's a leader. You can see all the big leaders of Mecca have lost their glow. They're not shiny anymore. Abu Sufyan, no one cares about him anymore. This is a big deal for him. Urwa ibn Mas'ud was a very seasoned man. He was a very seasoned politician. He had been in the court of every major king in the area, from Kisra to Qaisar. He had visited all of them. He's been in their courts. He knows them personally. He's one of those people who's well connected. So in his mind, he's like, if I can prove my leadership skills today, then I can even weaken Quraysh more. So they send him out to speak to the Prophet ﷺ. It's a long story, this one. I'm not sure if I'm going to make it through. I only have 2 more minutes. It's a really cool story. So he goes out. The Prophet ﷺ sees Urwa coming from afar. فَقَالَ هَذَا رَجُلٌ يُعَظِّمُ الْقُوَّةِ. This man respects strength. So he changes his setting, ﷺ. He positions himself inside a tent that has a long rug. And he has standing beside him a man fully in armor. Remember this, because this man is going to be important in a moment, who he is. He chooses a man specifically to have him standing there, like a guard. He never has a guard, ﷺ, and he's not scared of Urwa. He just wanted to make a point. And he had Abu Bakr and a few other leaders of the Muslims sitting with him. And Urwa enters, because Urwa is a well-spoken gentleman. He's an orator of the Arab, meaning this man knows how to speak, not like the guys who came before. Some of them are leaders, but they're not. But no, this man had a dahiya. This is a very intelligent man. He's a politician. He knows how to speak. So he enters and he begins this long speech to the Prophet ﷺ, saying, "Ma ata ahadun qawmahu bi sharrin mimma ataytahum bih." No one has brought his people with more evil than you have. Yet ata ilayhim fi diyarihim yajtahu baytatahum. He comes to them in their homes, trying to penetrate their safe space or their quarters. أَتَى مَعَهُ سَفَلَةُ النَّاسِ. He brings people who have no importance. And he's speaking very rudely about the Muslims. قَالَ مَا أَرَاكَ يَا مُحَمَّدٍ. And you would never speak to him respectfully. You wouldn't say Ya Rasulullah or Abu al-Qasim even. You would use his name, which is, you don't do that. مَا أَرَاكَ يَا مُحَمَّدٍ إِلَّا قَدْ جَمَعْتَ أَوْبَاشَ الْعَرَبِ وَالنَّاسِ وَرِعَاهُمْ. I only see that you brought with you the worthless people who have no ethics and have no background and have no lineage and have no nobility in them. وَمَا أَرَاكَ إِلَّا جِئْتَ إِلَى بَيْضَتِكَ لِتَقُضَّهَا. And it seems to me that you're coming back to your home, the home that treated you and took care of you, so that you may destroy it. He's trying to make it seem as if the Prophet ﷺ lacked loyalty. So he goes on this long speech. We'll end with this. We ran out of time. Next, I'll continue.